Mark Cuban or Kevin O'Leary, stars of the American show Shark Tank, suddenly get arrested for cryptocurrency fraud. Sounds unbelievable, right? But that exact scandal just erupted in Vietnam. One of the country's most famous investors, Nguyen Hoa Binh, known as Shark Binh from Shark Tank Vietnam, was taken into custody by Hanoi police on suspicion of running a massive crypto scam. It shocked the nation's business scene. Just yesterday, Binh was shining on television as the face of Vietnam's startup dream, and today, his mugshot is spreading across the news. Investigators claim Binh deceived tens of thousands of people through his cryptocurrency project, a token called AntEx. During the digital asset boom of 2021, he attracted roughly 30,000 investors, raising about $4.5 million in stablecoin, promising to build his own DeFi ecosystem. But when the AntEx price began to crash, Binh and his partners didn't deliver on their promises. Instead, in March 2023, they tried to hide the collapse by rebranding the token as Rabbit, swapping 1,000 old AntEx for one new Rabbit. It didn't work. Rabbit lost 95% of its value in just 3 months, leaving investors empty-handed. According to police documents, the project's organizers drained nearly all investor funds, converted them into fiat currency, and pocketed the proceeds. A textbook rug pull. The total damage? Over $34 million. That's how much has already been seized from Shark Binh. Cash, crypto, 597 gold bars, and dozens of real estate titles. And perhaps the most shocking part, the entire scheme worked largely because Binh used his celebrity status and his reputation as a successful investor to make people believe his crypto project was bulletproof. But how did one of Vietnam's most respected businessmen manage to pull off such a scheme in plain sight? The answer began to emerge only after the arrest, as new details surfaced, revealing just how deep this story goes. Before the scandal, Shark Binh was the embodiment of the Vietnamese dream, a fusion of Elon Musk's ambition and Kevin O'Leary's charisma. He founded NextTech Group, a fintech empire operating in more than 10 countries, and his name became synonymous with innovation and wealth. For young entrepreneurs, he was an icon, a self-made billionaire who proved that the Vietnamese dream was real. Shark Binh radiated confidence, and the nation saw in him the face of a new generation of business leaders. When Shark Tank Vietnam hit television screens, Binh became a celebrity overnight. Direct, confident, always smiling. He won viewers instantly. His feedback to startup founders was sharp but fair, and that honesty earned him trust. Every appearance turned into an event. He praised bold ideas, encouraged innovation, and openly championed blockchain and tech startups. To many, he was the very image of Vietnam's technological future. By 2021, the crypto craze had reached its peak. Bitcoin hit new records almost weekly. News headlines were full of stories about ordinary people becoming millionaires overnight. Excitement, greed, and hope filled the air. From college students to business owners, everyone wanted to jump aboard the last car of the crypto train. It was a time when the fear of missing out drowned out reason, and Shark Binh could sense it. He read the market mood like a script, and he wasn't about to miss his moment. Riding this wave of euphoria, he made a move that would elevate his fame even higher. The launch of his own cryptocurrency project, AntEx. It was ambitious, daring, larger than life. At the launch event, Binh spoke with passion and theatrical confidence, his words echoing through the hall. He unveiled AntEx as Vietnam's first complete blockchain ecosystem, a token, a decentralized exchange, a wallet, a payment network, an entire financial universe under one roof. He called it the future of financial freedom for every Vietnamese citizen. No banks, no borders, no limits. He spoke with conviction, and the crowd erupted in applause. People felt like they were witnessing the start of something historic. To an American viewer, it all sounds eerily familiar. The same promises once made by Celsius, Voyager, and FTX before their collapse. The same euphoric rhetoric, the same talk of revolutionizing finance. The message was identical. We're building a fair alternative to the banks. Trust us. The West had already heard those words and learned their lesson. But in Vietnam of 2021, doubt was nowhere to be found. Binh was their own genius, a local hero. People wanted to believe, and Binh's rhetoric mirrored his Western counterparts perfectly. We're creating a new, honest financial system where banks can't exploit you. Just believe. Trust me. His voice carried authority. This was no anonymous developer hiding behind a screen. This was a living, breathing success story. A TV star. A business icon. The man who had already delivered results. And the nation believed him. Completely. Tens of thousands of ordinary people, from young IT workers to retirees, saw in AntEx their ticket to a better life. They invested their savings and their hopes, spreading the word like wildfire. Social media exploded with excitement. Shark Binh was promising them the future, and his followers spread that gospel with zeal. They truly believed they stood on the edge of a revolution led by their own homegrown hero. At first, everything looked flawless. Riding the crypto boom of 2021, the AntEx token launched with noise and glamour under the banner of Nguyen Hoa Binh, better known as Shark Binh. Influencers made videos, ads flooded social media, and the community grew like wildfire. But behind the glossy marketing facade, cracks were already forming. By mid-2022, AntEx had lost up to 90% of its value. According to Hanoi police data, the token collapsed almost completely, a 99% loss. Liquidity vanished. Wallets controlling the main pool of tokens began to dump their holdings, draining the project from within. Investors started asking questions. Why are the communication channels gone? Where's the exchange listing? Why is the wallet frozen? But there were no answers. Then came the twist. AntEx suddenly announced a rebrand, a fresh start under a new name, Rabbit, or RAB for short. The conversion rate? 1,000 AntEx for one rabbit. Binh called it a new chapter, a new mission, meant to restore trust and rebuild the community. But in reality, the code stayed the same. The tokenomics didn't change. And soon after, Rabbit collapsed again, another 95% drop. It was a familiar pattern, like BitConnect 2.0 or SafeMoon. The same promises, the same rebirth, the same rug. The storyline is as old as crypto itself. Create an illusion of success, raise the price, attract retail investors. Once they're all in, pull liquidity, change the name, and vanish. According to VietnamNet, about 33.2 billion tokens were sold to around 30,000 investors between August and November 2021, raising roughly 4.5 million USDT. One investor from the Ninh Binh province said he lost just $2,000, but there were thousands like him. Today, AntEx is dead. The website is gone. Most investors have been left behind, and Rabbit itself teeters on the edge of extinction. By October 2025, everything that once seemed untouchable came crashing down. At a Hanoi police press conference on October 14th, officials made it official. Nguyen Hoa Binh, known nationwide as Shark Binh, chairman of NextTech Group and star of Shark Tank Vietnam, had been arrested. The charges were serious: fraudulent appropriation of assets and accounting violations with severe consequences. Investigators had already uncovered the flow of money, a familiar route: main wallet, arrow; personal wallets, arrow; conversion to fiat. Roughly 30,000 investors had fallen victim, their funds funneled through the AntEx token. Police froze assets worth nearly 900 billion Vietnamese dong, about 34 million US dollars. Seized items included 597 gold bars, 18 land titles, 2 luxury cars, and a stack of documents and electronic devices. In custody, Binh confessed publicly. "I recognized the seriousness of my actions and promised to compensate investors." But the damage was already done. His credit of trust, the currency that built his empire, was gone. Most victims would never see their money again. Imagine the same scene in America. Kevin O'Leary or Mark Cuban launching their own token, millions of fans believing in them, and 1 year later, an arrest for fraud. In Vietnam, this wasn't just another headline. It was a national shockwave. But the arrest was only the beginning. Behind the headline, the star investor caught, lies something far more complex: a web of transactions, shell companies, and hidden money trails. And that's exactly what the next chapter uncovers. When the news of Shark Binh's arrest hit the media, social networks exploded. People who just days earlier praised him as a national hero were now calling him Vietnam's biggest fraudster. Thousands of posts flooded forums, I invested all my savings into AntEx. He made me believe my life could change. Now I have almost nothing. Screenshots of chats, police complaints, and support groups for victims. All of it became a second wave of shock, following the initial collapse. Across Southeast Asia's crypto circles, the parallels came instantly. FTX, Luna, Celsius. Not in scale, those were billions, but in pattern. Trust plus hype plus promises plus disappearance of funds. Everywhere, the formula was the same, a collapse of trust. And it wasn't about bad code or failed technology. It fell apart because people believed. Because that belief allowed one man to buy gold bars, real estate, and luxury hype, all built on trust. Shark Binh had a unique advantage over every other scammer: national credibility. He wasn't an anonymous crypto geek hiding in a basement. He was a TV celebrity, someone fans took selfies with, journalists interviewed, and YouTubers showcased as a role model. When a man with that face tells you to invest, resistance drops to zero. Imagine this. Kevin O'Leary, fresh off Shark Tank, announces his own token, O'Leary Coin. Millions of fans trust him. A year later, he's arrested for fraud. That's exactly what Vietnam witnessed. A national shock that unfolded in real time, right under everyone's nose. But the fallout went far beyond personal losses. It became systemic. Investors were broke. Public trust was shattered. Regulators across Asia tightened their grip on crypto markets. In the West, these cases became fuel for new laws on celebrity endorsements and token promotions. Because stories like this prove a brutal truth. Charisma plus fame does not equal honesty. And yet, this isn't the end. If it looks like the story is over, it's not. Because what follows is even more revealing. A trail of transactions, shell companies, money laundering routes, and disappearing funds. What lies behind the shiny headline, "Star Investor Caught," is the real story still waiting to unfold. The investigation is still ongoing, and no one knows exactly where the millions went. Some of the capital was converted into real estate, some into stable coins, and the rest simply vanished. According to Hanoi police reports, large portions of the money were transferred through shell companies in the Philippines and Kenya, creating a web of transactions that stretches across continents. Today, the official AntEx website is gone. Its social media pages have been deleted or frozen. And the so-called rebirth token, Rabbit, RAB, trades at around 0.2 of a cent, practically worthless compared to its launch price. This case has become a wake-up call for regulators across Asia. Governments are tightening control over crypto projects and celebrity-backed tokens. Now, any star-driven promise is seen as a potential red flag. Across the ocean, the story echoes. In the US, the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, has ramped up lawsuits against celebrities who promoted shady coins. Remember Kim Kardashian and Logan Paul? Their cases proved one thing: popularity does not equal integrity. Sometimes, it's what makes scammers more dangerous. The takeaway is simple. If someone promises easy money, quick profit, and waves their fame as proof, that's not trust. That's a warning sign. Because in crypto, charisma and publicity often mask fragility or fraud. And as the story of Shark Binh shows, it's not the one who makes a mistake who loses. It's the one who trusts without checking. Final message. A force capable of reshaping entire economies, opening doors where banks, bureaucracy, and middlemen once ruled. But that same power can destroy lives, especially when mixed with greed and charisma. Shark Binh sold a dream of innovation. He said he was building a bridge to the future, a world where every Vietnamese citizen could control their finances freely. But in the end, he became just another reminder of an old truth. The louder the promise, the deeper the fall when it turns out to be a lie. For investors, the lesson is simple. If someone says, "Trust me and you'll get rich," check who you're trusting. If someone promises the future but asks for your money first, walk away. Because real sharks don't swim on TV shows, they swim in your wallets. And while some people sell dreams, others profit from your trust. The choice will always be yours, to be an investor or to become the prey.